started. I'll just do a quick introduction. My name is Deja Holland, and I am in the nursing program, and I'm also the vice president of the program board of the Associated Student Government. That's a mouthful. And today our event is virtual learning one-on-one. So we actually have a lot of great people here that are going to give some tips and tricks on how to be prepared for virtual learning, but also give us some of the technical side, the background, the how-tos of how to work Canvas and upload documents and get us prepared for virtual learning for however long that may be. So I'll let Davina, Rhiannon, and Shrisha introduce themselves and we can get started from there.
Excellent. Thank you, Deja. I'm Davina Burns-Peters, and I am one of the faculty co-leads for distance education here on the campus. And I'm going to just share a few points of information that I think is worthwhile for students to know and for student empowerment today. Rhiannon and Shrisha, if you want to introduce yourself now, and then I can go into my brief component.
Sure. My name is Rhiannon Lattes. I'm the instructional technology specialist at the district. So pretty much anything related to the educational technology comes through us. We do trainings. We are the ones who, if you call our local help desk, will probably be the ones to help you. So that's me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shrisha Coates, and I am the Distance Ed Administrator. My primary duties is to oversee Canvas, back, front, end, in addition to training and any support that you need.
Excellent. So as you heard them mention, they both are at the district level, and they both deal with the technology components of distance education, the help desk. They're there for students and faculty, and they do a lot. So props to them. The role that distance education faculty co-leads take is a little bit more on the faculty focus side, but it impacts students. And so with that in mind, I would like to share just a couple of points that I think will be worthwhile. So I'm going to try to share my screen here very, very briefly and keep my segment short and sweet. Let's see if that will. Okay, and if I could just get confirmation that I have a full PowerPoint slide showing on the screen now.
Yep, you're good.
Excellent. So just a couple of points to go over today is looking at some of the requirements related to online learning, what to expect in this environment, how to communicate your concerns when you have them about that learning environment, a couple of the definitions, and a few extra little points that are brief on the last slide. So in looking at online learning, it's really interesting. We're in a time right now where usually when we talk about online learning, we talk about it in terms of choice and option. And it's usually a process that students have an option to choose the online learning pathway. And we are not in that environment now. So everything is done by default in the online environment. But it doesn't change the requirements of what it takes to be successful in that environment. So whether it's by choice or whether it's by default, this is where we are at. And so the key things that we find are important to have success in the online environment is that motivation and discipline. You know, we come to the table motivated to learn, but online learning requires a different type of discipline. Sometimes the understanding is, well, I can, do school in my PJs. And we've, had those marketing campaigns even in our own campus of, like it's flexible. There's some great benefits to it, but it doesn't change the fact that at some point you have to have the discipline to make sure that you are committing the time necessary to the work to be done. So that's really quite a challenge, but it's something that can be overcome by scheduling and making sure that you have things, laid out and do your research when you first join into a class. So motivation and discipline are really one of the main factors. And the ability to work independently, which really kind of leads though into that discipline piece, right? Face-to-face classes allow us this very structured environment that I show up at Tuesday at 10 o'clock in North Hall 330. And I know that an instructor is going to be there, my peers will be there, and I can be there for an hour and 50 minutes, and I'll move on to the next section. So in the online environment, you have to find ways to actually schedule out those blocks of time. Now, the flexibility component listed here allows you to build that block of time anywhere in your schedule, but it does need to exist. And that's not only true for students, but it's true for faculty as well, right? We have to also structure that time into our schedule, committing that same amount of hours and energy into those online courses. And most importantly, actually, in terms of technology, of course, is that access to computer and to the internet. And I'm going on the assumption that at some point during this Welcome Week, you may have been exposed to how to access a computer and to internet access on campus in these current times. If not, I would refer you to our campus homepage that has some resources listed there at very easy access just at valleycollege.edu. The other thing that we find students sometimes struggle with is some of the basic computer skills. Now, you know, a lot of students may already be really familiar with a computer, and they might be familiar with, you know, smart devices in terms of smartphones and tablets, and how to, you know, post things on Instagram and other types of platforms. But that's very different than actually knowing how to interact with your learning management system, which on this campus we use Canvas, which is why Rhiannon and Sharicia are here today as well to share more information with you. But some of the basic skills you'll need is just how to communicate via email, how to save a document and upload it as an attachment. And some of those are the most basic interaction pieces that you'll need to know. I've embedded into this slide in case it does get shared at any point. There is just a brief video here that asks you some of the important questions of, are you ready for online learning? But basically these 6 bullets prior to that link really are the components that let us know whether or not we're ready for online learning. So that being said, this is what you want to consider to see, am I ready to really learn in this environment while we are at a place of being by default in this environment? For some students, it's perfectly fine, and there is no transition difficulty or challenges. And some may even find that they find it the way for them and may choose this pathway long-term wise. If you find that you're struggling with it, though, there's options other than just giving up. There's options other than just quitting. You can look at how to maybe balance your schedule a little differently. You can look at your scheduling options with your counseling department. You can look at maybe adjusting your load of courses. For example, in a face-to-face environment, you know, some students might be perfectly okay taking 18 units as a load and do quite well with that. But in an online environment, that may or may not be the case. And it's really important to just keep that in mind. But rather than just saying, I'm done and I'm out, look at what some of your options are and consider how to adjust maybe your scheduling and your load to suit this environment at this time. And your counselors would certainly be a great resource to be able to do that, and I would refer you to them. I wanted to empower students a little bit to let them know what we're doing as distance education as a committee that we have, as well as the faculty co-leads. There's a tremendous amount of faculty training occurring on campus. This is something that as students, you don't necessarily see that in a transparent way, but there is a tremendous amount of training occurring. It is a very large task to take on. We have hundreds and hundreds of faculty. When you put our adjunct faculty with our full-time faculty, we're well into the high 400s, low 500 range. So it's a lot of faculty to get trained. However, we have had hundreds of them come through our training process. In our training, we are talking about the requirements for communications to students. We're talking about the requirements for participation and engagement with students. We're looking at, we're educating on the need to how to regularly schedule the deployment of information, how they post that information, the course design itself. And so as a student, you have the right to expect that your faculty members, your faculty of your courses will communicate with you on a regular basis. What does regular mean? That varies a little bit, but at the very minimum, you should be hearing from them on a weekly basis, whether that be through an announcement in Canvas, whether that be through an email being sent out to everybody in the course, whether that be through a posting of a new module with a summary of what's to be expected for the week. But you should be receiving that information. And so I feel like I'm a little on the edge of empowering, but it really is important for students to know that you have the right to expect that. That's what we're expecting. I say we're expecting. That's what all of the regulations expect, and that's what the training has been focused on. And students have the right to have that. You have the right to expect that your faculty will be participating and engaging in the course, meaning not just here you go and walking away from it and you see them at the end of the semester with grades, that there should be this regular engagement. It also means that you as a student can expect to be asked to participate and engage on a regular basis. Sometimes that looks like participating in discussion boards. Sometimes that looks like doing a group assignment. Sometimes that looks like an interaction of email between yourself and the instructor. So it can take on lots of different forms, but you do have the expectation, or you should have the expectation, that your faculty member will be present and will be there. And lastly, looking at having a regular schedule, that your courses really should be outlined in a way that it's somewhat predictable to you, right? That you have a course syllabus. It should still exist in your online courses with a schedule of what to be expected. And you can kind of predict out what the workload should look like in that course, no different than a face-to-face class. And that you should have an outline of at least on a weekly basis, if not an overall or even more frequent way of knowing when things are due, and even a predictable schedule when it comes to that. For example, as an instructor, I generally make my things due on Thursdays and Sundays, and I wouldn't want to switch that up in the middle of a class and suddenly this assignment is due on a Monday. And that's just not, it doesn't support our students in that way. So we encourage faculty to have these components in their course. And again, finally, in considering this, every instructor will set up their course a little differently. They will have different expectations in terms of engagement, participation, even the technology in which they use in the course, right? Some instructors may use Proctorio. You might hear that word. It's an online proctoring for exams, but there's some very specific requirements to be able to successfully complete an exam with Proctorio. Others might use something like Flipgrid, which is integrated into Canvas. It's a little video interaction component for students. So we all have little pieces that vary. And when you take a course, when you first go into that course, it's important for you as a student to look at what the requirements are, ask the important questions about anything that you might be required to do, and determine, does this course fit my needs, my flexibility, my schedule, my internet access, my computer access? Does it match my life at this point and my needs at this point? And if it doesn't, just like in face-to-face environment, consider what your options are to be able to find something that does work. And again, at this point, I would refer you back to counseling to make those decisions and those choices. But that ability to determine course match should not change in the online environment. You still have that ability to decide, is this the right course for me? Am I going to get what I need from this course? Am I going to be prepared? Or am I going to be able to meet the expectations? So I'm going to move right along. If you are not having success if you're not experiencing the things that we just outlined, i.e. the communication from your faculty, regular posting of information, you don't feel the presence of a faculty member, you're not having response from them, I don't want to call anybody out, but again, it's important for students to be empowered to know what to do with that. And in the online environment, sometimes we don't know what that structure is. So I've outlined kind of the process that you would want to go through. One, you would always want to reach out to your instructor first and foremost. That is the requirement. And usually if you go any higher in the chain, we're going to refer you back to your instructor first and foremost. So you need to show good faith effort in interacting with your instructor first. The suggestion and the best practice is to use the Canvas inbox because it's traceable, it's viewable within the Canvas shell, and instructors are sure to get that email. So use the little inbox component in Canvas, which is on your far left-hand side when you're in the Canvas shell. If you have not heard back from your instructor or you have not had a satisfactory response within a reasonable amount of time, you know, a month is probably a long time. 1 day is not probably reasonable. So in a reasonable amount of time, then you could definitely try to catch them at their office hours. Instructors are required to have office hours in the online environment as well. So try to catch them at that time. If you're again not successful with that, the next step would be to look at trying to get a hold of the chair of that department. The chair of the department is the very next step up, and that is who would then ask the right questions and then try to get connection between the student and the faculty member. I'm at risk of this not showing. I hope this is showing. Did that take you to the division offices page?
No.
It did not. Okay. Then I am going to, so this is a hyperlink which isn't working in the Zoom environment to share, so I apologize. But if you go to our, just our campus page and search division offices, that will take you to a page that lists out all of our divisions. We have arts and humanities, criminal justice, math, business and technology, etc. There's 7 or 8 divisions there. On that page, you will be able to, within just a few clicks, determine who the faculty members are and who the chairpersons are for each of those divisions. So it's really important to know that you're looking for the division offices, and from there you will be able to track down who the chairperson is. If not, at least the division office information is listed there and they will be able to provide that information for you. And as always, I've referred to counselors quite a bit in this so far. Reach out to your counselors and they can also help you facilitate that. I believe this might be my last slide. Looking at definitions, there's a lot of definitions in online instruction. There's just a lot of definitions. You might hear the word remote instruction. Some campuses around us, as well as our sister campus, does utilize the word remote instruction. Remote instruction generally means that a course is scheduled as normal, and it is not. It's done via video conferencing at those scheduled times. And Canvas, the learning management system, is a supplement to that course. That most of your instruction will occur at that live interactive time and via video conferencing. Most of our courses at this time are not offered in that format, but you will hear that term. Online instruction is generally understood as a course being offered in an online environment, with 2 other terms attached, which I'll touch on very briefly. You will also see the word partially online. You will see this come back into effect a little bit more post-pandemic as more of us return to campus in the future. Partially online would mean you would do a portion of that course face-to-face, and another portion of that course would be conducted online. So rather than meeting twice a week for an hour and 50 minutes a piece, you might meet once a week for an hour, hour and a half, hour and 50 minutes, and then the rest of that instruction is to occur in the online environment. The last 2 definitions are synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous, these are 2 terms related to online instruction. You will see these listed in our course schedule, both this semester and in semesters going forward. Synchronous means that there is a scheduled time in which students are expected to come together and interact at the same time. with the instructor. So when you see synchronous instruction, you will see a scheduled time for that course, a day and a time. And just like face-to-face, instructors expect that you are showing up at that time in that space via live conferencing for instruction, which may or may not be available to you at a future time in another format. Asynchronous is pretty much the opposite of that. It means that everything is conducted online, whether that be through videos that are recorded by the faculty, videos that they've collected from public sources and presented in module format. They might be providing a lot of text information. They might refer you to read something in a book and then follow up with an activity, but there's no set scheduled time for you to meet and be required to show up at that time. So this allows for the most flexibility in our schedule, and also the most self-discipline and self-scheduling component. In the asynchronous environment, you may have instructors offer to meet at a live time or offer to meet in a Zoom session, but the instructions to faculty at this point are, if you are in an asynchronous course and a live session is offered that is related to instruction that you're responsible for as a student, that has to be shared in a recorded format at a later time. So again, important for you to know what this means so that you know what to expect, and if that's not occurring, what to do and how to move along in that process. This is my last slide. I know that Rhiannon and Shrisha might touch on two of these topics very quickly, but one of the common issues is that students will find that they sign up for a course and day one of the course is there and nobody is, you're like, where's everything at? I don't see it on my Canvas shell. Course publication is usually the issue. A faculty member has just forgotten to hit a button. So again, a good time to then reach out to the chair so we can make sure that we connect with that faculty member and remind them to publish their course. It's a very rookie error that even the most experienced have. The next would be Canvas notifications. There is an opportunity for you to go into Canvas and set up your notifications so that you get notified anytime a faculty member does anything in your course. You can decide how much you want to be notified, how little, how much, and that's a really great way to kind of just keep track of what's happening in your course. And it's really important to know that there's a lot of support on how to use Canvas. I'm not going to get into those details because you're going to hear about that now. But online, again, this is a hyperlink, but there are student guides that Canvas themselves have put together on every topic that you can imagine about Canvas. And so if you're struggling, it's a great resource. Go check it out, especially if it's in the middle of the night and you're trying to figure something out and you feel like nobody's around. So that's what I have. And I wish you all the luck in your online instruction, and know that your faculty are here for you and working very hard to make it a successful experience. With that, I will turn it over to Rhiannon and Shrisha.
All right, thank you, Davina. It's a lot of useful information. So I'm actually going to start with where Davina kind of mentioned, at valleycollege.edu. So what I'm going to kind of go over is a lot of the things that we often get calls about in terms of what do I do for this, or I don't know how to do this. So these are going to be a lot of things that possibly you will deal with or you might not deal with. But as Davina mentioned, valleycollege.edu, good place to start. One thing I do want to point out is, because I know Davina mentioned about, oh, there's a lot of resources here on online learning and whatnot. When you have items such as you need a Chromebook or a hotspot, that is actually listed here in the bottom of this page. I know we've actually had individuals call in and say, how do I get a Chromebook? And I don't know if they just didn't scroll down far enough on the page, or if they just totally missed it, but it is there. If you need a hotspot or a laptop, those links are there, and you can go ahead and click them and fill out the appropriate paperwork, I guess, that's needed. So On this valleycollege.edu page, where you want to look is your login. So your logins is going to have all of those areas in which you can log in. So, WebAdvisor, where you register, Canvas, obviously our learning management system, your student email, Office 365, those are, some things that you can look into. When we kind of get questions, we often get questions on how do I reset my password. So if you, for some reason, have forgotten your password, you can just go ahead and click Forgot Password. It's also, if you're in WebAdvisor, I'm just going to click that and show you when this loads. On the left-hand side, there is the Reset Password in big red letters, so you can reset your password. And I'm going to kind of walk through this a little bit, only because, oops, once I put my information in there, because we do have some issues when people try to reset this password. So again, it's going to ask you for standard information, last name, first name. You have to put in your date of birth, and you have to choose either the social security number, last 5 digits, or your college ID. So you're going to do that and then hit submit. So I'm going to kind of switch over because I have like some screenshots, and hopefully those will come through. And so I know this is not the most clear picture, but once you hit that submit button, you will see this information that says, log in using temporary password, and it gives you kind of this temporary password. So if you can copy and paste that or write it down, because it will also say, oh, your temporary password is sent to your student email or what have you. And if you're locked out of your everything, then you're not going to be able to get to your student email. But so just kind of take note of that temporary password. So you'll also notice you have your temporary password. It tells you where it's sending. Oh, we're sending you a temporary password. All you have to do is click on where it says log in. So when you click on that log in button, it actually will take you, I'm going to scroll down, and I really hate to do this, but back to that login page. So when you log in, you're using your user ID, which is your first initial, last name, and then the last 4 of your student ID. And you're going to use that temporary password that they just gave you. So you use that temporary password, fill it in under password, and then hit submit. So once you get to that area and it tells you the option to change your password, you'll notice you still have to fill in some information, and it tells you username, again, first initial, last name, and the last 4 of your student ID. And then it says current or temporary password. So obviously the one that we just copied or wrote down, you're going to put in that area right there where it says current or temp password. And then you're going to come up with your new password. And you'll notice in the box above, it says your new password must be, and it gives you the criteria, must be 8 to 20 characters, must contain at least 3 of the 4, characters, and it tells you what those options are. One other thing that I do want to recommend, if you do for any reason need to change your password, if possible, try to change it on a computer or laptop. It does say on here in red at the bottom, make sure to update passwords on mobile devices that are connected to your email. And that failure to do so, you'll be locked out of your account. I noticed that we do have a lot of students that have a very difficult time trying to reset using their mobile devices. And if at all possible, try to reset that password on a laptop or desktop to avoid getting locked out and having to call help desk to get that situation fixed. So once you have all of that information in, you hit submit, your password is then reset. If at any time you do have issues with the reset, you will then have to contact help desk, and I'll actually give you all those numbers and where you can look for that information as we go on today. So another area that to look for, and I'm going to go back to my valleycollege.edu. As a student, you have the ability to have your Office 365. So Office 365 is something that you as a student already get access to. All you have to do is log in. So if you click on Office 365, it'll prompt you to put in your information. So that would be your student email. So your first initial, last name, and the last 4 of your student ID at student student.sbccd.edu. So that information has to be in there. So since mine is not, I'll type this in really quickly. Ours is a little bit longer. So let me do that. Oops. It'll ask you to enter your password. I'll take that off. And logs you into your Office 365. Oh, doesn't like my password. So then you will be able to see what options you have access to. If you look at the top left-hand side, there's these squares, which we call a waffle, and it's the app launcher. And if you click on it, it will kind of show you and give you information as to what you have access to using your Office 365 account. So you have to use those credentials. So you have to make sure it's the first name dot last name, last four of your student ID at student.sbccd.edu. So you'll probably use that several times when you logged into other areas as well. So lastly, I'm going to go back to my valleycollege.edu because that's where I like to go. Go ahead and click on login. And Canvas is obviously our learning management system, and that's where we were going to go next. We're going to go ahead and click on Canvas. And when we click on Canvas, it gives us the option to log into Canvas, so we click on Go to Canvas. I will also let you know when you click on Canvas. Oops, actually, sorry, I want to do this way. Again, click on Login, click on Canvas. Go to log into Canvas, and it gives you this portal information. So you should see when you click on that Canvas information, you should see it says SBCCD portal. It's this brownish color with the district logo. So if you see something that doesn't look like this, then you might be in the wrong place. And it happens sometimes. We search for things and we try to find SBCCD just searching on Google, and it takes us to another location. So if you do not see this information here, you will not be able to log in using the credentials you have. So you'll notice here also it says if you're a student, how to log in. Again, the username, which is the first initial dot last name, and then the last four of your ID at student.sbccd.edu. You put that information in and then log in. So again, I have special credentials, so let me get those in there. All right. I don't want to save my password. You will have this continue to request a website. It's the academic integrity statement that's listed there. It's pretty much just saying that you are the person you say you are logging into the site. So that will pop in and you have to click on continue to requested website. So that's what that's there for. So this is how it looks when you come onto Canvas for the first time. Depending on how many classes you have, you'll see them here. But I'm going to go through this different areas of Canvas itself. So for example, top left, right under the PA logo over here on the top, we have account. And the account is kind of where you can set some of that information, like Davina mentioned earlier, notifications. It also is where the logout button is, just in case you're maybe on a public computer or someone else uses your computer and you want to log out. That's where the option is. But if we click on notifications, I'm going to click on that. You'll see there's a whole list of things in which you can change that notification for. So for example, if I want to look at due dates in a different way, so there's different areas in which I can change. So if I want my due dates to notify me immediately, so if a due date's coming up, I want it to notify me before that due date. It's going to notify me immediately when a due date is set. So if someone puts, or excuse me, instructor puts an assignment in with a due date, as soon as that is accessed, it'll then send it to you, that reminder. And so then there's also the daily summary, which will send you at a specific time to your email. Here's a daily summary of the changes that were made today. Weekly summary is going to do the same thing, send you an email, all of the changes that were made weekly, or you can say notifications off. I don't want to be reminded about the due dates coming up. So you can do that for each of these items here. You can change that particular notification that you're getting. For the most part, by default, things like conversations, which is what is the inbox in Canvas or the Canvas email, that's going to be notify you immediately. So it should go to you immediately. But you'll also notice I have, email here, but I also have for push notifications. And the push notifications is for those items that you are using through your Canvas app. So if you have Canvas app information, you can change it to say, oh, I want it to go to my Canvas app, but perhaps not to my email, or vice versa. So you have the options. There's quite a few options you can go through, and you can change them for the entirety of your courses. So this reflects all of your courses, not just one. Then there's the profile area. Here is where you can actually change information on your profile. So you can add information here if you wanted to be available to other individuals. All individuals would see this if that people option is open within Canvas, or discussions. You can see other people within your course. You can click on them and kind of read information on them if they have anything. If not, like this, there's nothing. If there's nothing here, you won't see anything. It's also an area where if you want to, you can change the profile picture. You can upload a picture if you want to, take a picture, or you can post an avatar, what they call gravatar. Next, you also have your files. So files, if you notice here, it's not a large storage area of files. So you have 78.6 megabytes available in this area. Usually though, the only things that actually will count against this storage is profile pictures, or if you upload any information here. So if you maybe wanted to upload something to save it here, you have the option to upload documents. But you'll also notice there's an option that says here. So if you look at my files, there's a submissions area. That submissions area, if you click on it, is going to open up all of the courses that you're enrolled in. And if you click on any of the courses, it will then show you all of those items that you submitted to a specific course. So if for some reason you needed to download it for maybe you no longer have the original, or you just wanted a copy of it, you can download it. You will not, that's the only thing you can do. These submissions, because they're part of an assignment, does not count towards your overall collection of material. So you will not see any kind of addition. So that's why it says 0%, because I have nothing but submissions on here. So these don't count towards my overall count. However, if you are sending things through conversations, again, conversations is the inbox, and I'll show you like where you can attach items to the conversations area. Those will show up here, and those will start taking up space in your storage here. Let me go back. I'm going to go back, and one other item that I wanted to kind of highlight in this area is the global announcements. So global announcements, when you come into your course, you'll notice sometimes there is an announcement at the top of the screen. At the top, it kind of looks like a little advertisement on the top sometimes, depending on how we put it together, about what's happening. If you click on global announcements, if there was anything at that top, because you can close it at any time that you wanted to come back to, it would live here. Right now, we have no current announcements that are live, but we've had previous announcements. So any recent ones, if you click on the recent tab, it will show you all of the announcements that we've had previously. So one of the announcements that we usually put on for students is how to view the courses at the beginning of the semester, how to view your courses as a student, what if my course is not published, and I recently registered or added got an add code to in WebAdvisor. So to answer those questions, well, I'll answer them, but some that are already right here that I recently registered. If you recently registered for a course, whether it was an add code or it's just a registration, when you register for a course, it will take about 2 to 4 hours for it to be accessible in Canvas. So it takes about 2 to 4 hours, depending on when you have registered and when that will be pulled into Canvas. So it updates every 2 to 4 hours. And again, if my course is not published, one of those is maybe it might not be, you have not gone through that 2 to 4 hours time period, or it could be that what Davina mentioned earlier about the course is not published. And I'll kind of show you where you can look to see whether or not that course has been published. And so the how to view all of your courses as a student, we'll start there. So, because that's what's gonna kind of show that. So usually, you know, if you click on dashboard, you'll see your courses. All the courses are there. Yay, great. But maybe there's a course missing. So then what you do, next option down on our navigation is the courses option. If you click on courses, it'll open up another window here and you can click on where it says all courses. And what you'll notice here on all courses is there's a list of all the courses that you are in or currently in or have been in the past. So these courses that are here listed in courses, it'll tell you, okay, this is the name of the course. This is the term. Usually it'll say, you know, spring 2021 or fall 2021, whatever it might be, that term will be listed there. Your role in that course, and then whether or not it's published. These all say yes, so that's one way that you know that it should be something that shows up on your dashboard. And if it says no, that could be the reason why it's not showing up on your dashboard. And if it says no, again, that is something that would be go back to the instructors themselves, because they are the ones that publish that course, depending on maybe they've missed clicking that button, or perhaps the course has yet to start. That would be something we usually say to refer to the instructor. However, there also is the option that sometimes, you know what, it's not showing up on my desktop and I don't know why, but it says it's published. You'll notice here on the left-hand side, there are these stars that are this orangish color. These mean that they have been favorited, which means these are the ones that are going to show up on your desktop. If for some reason you do not have a little star next to it, if you click on it, then when you go back to your dashboard, you will see that item show up on your dashboard. So there are some reasons why it might not show up on your dashboard, whether it's not published by the instructor or whether it's not favorited, or it could be that you've just registered. So in just registering, it hasn't quite shown up on your dashboard yet. All right. So let's look at the next item that you might notice here on the what we call a global navigation, which is this area in blue, is groups. If you have this icon or don't have this icon, don't panic. Or if you don't have this icon, I should say, don't panic. It is only something that you would see if you're a part of a group within a course. So sometimes there's group assignments, and in those group assignments, faculty then have the option to put individuals in groups, and that then gives the option of the groups to easily access them. So if you click on it, you'll see the groups that you're assigned to. So if you don't have it, it's not a big deal. If you do, that's how you can easily get to groups. Next item is the calendar. Calendar will show any information for the courses that you're currently in or have you want to see on your calendar here. So for example, if I no longer wanted to see all of the information from a specific course on this calendar, I can click on it and that will take the color icon away from it and you will not populate on your calendar. If I click on it again, it will bring all those items back and it could then, you can see when things are due. Again, things are only going to show up on your calendar if they're due dates within the course. So if there's due dates for those assignments or what have you in the course, you can then see them here. You can also add information to your calendar. So maybe an event or a to-do list of items for yourself, and these will only show up for you. And you can assign them to a specific course if you want to, and those are the options that you have for that. So the next item is the inbox. The inbox is just the email system within Canvas. Often it's also referred to as conversations. So if you hear conversations or see conversations in some of the help desk literature or help literature, it just means the inbox area. So it's similar to create an email. You have the icon at the top that says compose a new message. If you click on compose a new message, it will give you the option then to say, okay, which course am I going to select? I click on that course, and then I can choose from the little address book that shows up on the to line. If I click on the, maybe if I wanted to send to the teacher, I can do that. If maybe there's a specific student that you need to send something to, you can do that as well. So if I click on, I'll say again, the teacher, shows their name, clicks on it, it shows up. I can then compose my message. Again, like I mentioned earlier, there is the option to add an attachment or also add any video or audio comments. Again, those video or audio comments are going to go back to your file storage. So if you're sending a lot of documentation through this inbox area, you might start to see that it's going to give you messages like errors or what have you, that you're not able to send things because you've already used too much storage. So don't see it a lot, but it is something we have noticed when faculty asks for a lot of items to be sent through the inbox rather than through assignments. If that occurs, you would have to go into your files area and then delete any maybe information that possibly you don't need to kind of clear up some of that storage. So you can just send, put your message, whatever it is, and then hit send. And it goes to the faculty's inbox. They'll get the little notification. There is also the history icon. The history icon really just shows you all of the items that you've kind of gone through in the day. You can maybe click back to like, oh, what did I do? Where did I find that information? If I click there, it'll take you directly to where you were before. Studio is a, recording option if you have to, for any reason, do any kind of video recording or audio recording for your course. This is a good tool that you can use and record your items. And you can actually record it before going into the assignment. So you would just actually hit the record button. You have the option for screen capture or webcam capture. You choose one and it will ask, do you need to download an application? You can say, okay, I've already downloaded it, so it's already recommending it. So it'll download the tool you need to be able to access the recorder, and you can record using your Canvas Studio. This option is also available to use on your phone, so you're able to record through your phone if you want as well. So that makes it easy if you don't have maybe a webcam, or if you need to record yourself for some sort of a project or assignment. And so the other option is the Follett. Follett is something that I actually wouldn't be able to show too much of it. It is where faculty can then put the books that they have or information for that course, what was needed in terms of any, again, books or materials for that particular course. So that information could be listed there. It doesn't mean necessarily that it is, but it could be there for that particular course. I can't see because I'm not enrolled in any courses. And the other option on this navigation is the help. The help menu is very important. It will help you if you need anything in terms of, there is the chat option, there is the create and report a problem. So the create a ticket, report a problem will actually come to our office. So we do see those tickets. If you can, make sure you're detailed in terms of what you may need help with. We do get tickets that say, I couldn't access a test. If you can say, I couldn't access a test for this class, and this is the name of the test. Like those little details can help us troubleshoot it quickly and figure out, okay, what do we need to help this individual? And again, the tickets will come to us if there's something that can't be resolved. There is the chat function, which is a newer function, which is good if you don't really want to call up to Canvas. This one actually will go to Canvas themselves, so they will only be able to answer those Canvas questions. So if you have a question about, resetting your password or some of the functionality at San Bernardino Valley College itself, it will not work for, they will not be able to answer those questions. But if you do have a Canvas direct question, they can help you. They're really good at getting answers, but that's an opportunity you can use. There is our local help desk. So this 909-384-4357 comes to our offices directly. If it's you need help with the Office 365, if you are having trouble with your email, if you need your password reset, those types of things, you can go ahead and call that number and someone can help you with those items. Any Canvas issues, any Zoom issues, we can help you with that. These after hours numbers here are, again, Canvas only. So if you were to call this 1-800 number at any time, you can call actually. If you were to call that number, it would be to Canvas directly. And again, they would not be able to help you on specific things such as password reset or a number to someone local. They probably wouldn't be able to help you with any of that. And then there's the Ask Your Instructor a question, which you can then click and ask your instructor a question. It'll just let you choose which course, and then you can send a message directly to your instructor. So those are options as a student that you can use to get some help. And as Davida mentioned, there are the Canvas guides. They are up and ready here. If you click on it, it'll take you to the Canvas website, which will give you a lot of information, probably way more information than you need, but it's all there and you can kind of view some stuff. You also may notice that there's the Pronto app. I won't go too much into that because we're running a little low on time, but it really is just a text messaging app that you can use within the course. Whether or not your instructor is using it is also needs to be enabled to be able to use it within that course, but you can also search like other courses or search the courses that you are in to see if maybe you can communicate with not only your instructor, but other students within the course. So it's a texting app, video app. You can add some files or whatnot if you want to. There's also GIFs. So let me go into the course. I'm gonna go to my dashboard again, look at my course. Just as a quick overview, these are what we call course cards. You can change the view of how you want the desktop to look in terms of whether or not you want it in this card view. You can have it in a list view, or you can have it in the recent activity, which will just show things that are recently coming up. So by default, it's usually on the card view. You can, again, if for whatever reason there is a course on here that you do not want to show up on your dashboard, you can click on the 3 little dots and you can click on move and then unfavorite that item so it moves it away from your desktop. It will ask you to hit submit to double check and it will remove it from your desktop. Again, anything that's removed from the dashboard is still available in courses, all courses area. So we're going to go into a course. And as mentioned, all courses will be, could look different, but for the most part, you're still going to have on the left-hand side, you're going to have that local navigation. And then on the far right, you're going to have the panel to where it says like view course stream, view calendar, view course notifications, and your to-dos and recent feedback. That will be the same in each course. That middle portion here where these books are shown, That could be different on each course. So one thing I do wanted to point out, again, we talked about notifications. There is a notifications option here within the course. So it says view course navigations on the right-hand side. That allows you to change the course navigation specifically for this course. So if there's something that the instructor has been updating a lot lately and you don't want to get messages specifically maybe for the discussions. Okay, well, let me turn off those discussion notifications so that I don't get those notifications for the specific course only. So you can do it per course, but you have to do it within the course notification settings. I'm going to go back home again so I can just change. Let's see. And so we have announcements, which will be announcements that come through from your faculty. It will show here and again, you will receive a notification of announcements as well. You'll have syllabus, depending on how your instructor puts that syllabus together. They might not have this, but if your syllabus is listed here, it will show in this area. And sometimes, depending on how they have it set up, we'll have all of the calendar of events, calendar of items that will be due below. You'll notice this one has the course syllabus and it's actually just a PDF. If you see this little down arrow on any of these documents, if you click on it, it's just going to give you 3 options. One's a preview, one's a download, and one's alternative formats. And that alternative formats, if you click on it, is really just going to give you other ways in which to view that document. So whether it's an HTML or EPUB or maybe something you want in audio, you can download it in that format. So it's just giving you other ways in which to download that document. So not all of instructors may have things like assignments, discussions, and quizzes open. Sometimes they do refer everyone to go through the modules in order to go through the course in a specific order. So modules can be somewhere where you can find all of your information divided maybe to weeks or units, depending on how that instructor wants the course to go. And that includes maybe having information to confer Zoom or Zoom. If you'll notice on this course specifically, the very last navigation item is actually confer Zoom. Some individuals might use this, or some faculty might use this as a way in which to hold their meetings. If they have any Zoom sessions. And if you have this as an option, if you click on it, you will see the events happening now, or upcoming events will show what meetings are upcoming or you can join. So you'll notice this one has a meeting, I can join it. There's a link and all I have to do is click that link and be set up to that meeting. And it'll show any other meetings that are coming up down below. If there is more meetings, it'll show. You will have the option to join the meeting once once the time comes up. So if you don't see this blue button for you to join the meeting, that just means that it's not time for that meeting to begin. Another option that faculty do have is the appointment bookings. Appointment bookings, if you click on that second tab, allows you to request appointments with a faculty if they have that set up. So you would have to click on the appointments booking tab. There's the option to book appointment with. You choose your instructor, and then you can choose a time in which you can meet with that individual. So if you click on the plus sign or where it says available, that's when you can sign up and say, help with whatever it is, and maybe a further description here. And then reserve the appointment. So for you, again, as the end user, you might not see this item here because it's not available. So for example, this one's already started. So since it started, I can go ahead and click on that to join the meeting. Sometimes all it will say, depending on when you join that particular meeting, is any information that you've put here and the time and the day. So then you would have to actually return to the appointment bookings when it's your appointment time, and then click on the join button when you need to come back. during your time. So that join button will not show up for you as the end user until 15 minutes before the meeting. Since this meeting has already started, I'm already in that time period, the join button's there. So if I click on join, it'll take me to that meeting. I'm going to head back to our modules really quickly. And okay, so if I Confer Zoom can also be in other ways in where the individual has the Zoom meeting as a link. Again, it's just clicking that link, allowing you to go to the meeting without you having to do anything other than click the link. Same thing if it looks like this, where it's a longer URL, where it doesn't really have a description, it's just the URL, where you're able to click on it and just go to the meeting. Sometimes I also seen it this way, where the URL is not clickable. If you go ahead and select it, do a copy, and then just paste it into your browser, you can still go to that meeting that way as well. So those are just the 3 options that you'll see. You'll notice in those options you have, once you join the meeting, and let me actually go this way because I think I'll make these a little bit bigger because it was too small. It's still kind of small. This is how the toolbar looks when you go onto a Zoom session. There is, unmute button, a start video button. There's the participations button. It shows you how many participants are in the course, and you can kind of click that and see who showed up to the meeting that day. There's a chat option, share screen, and the share screen is if the faculty gives you the option to kind of share screen, which is usually by default it's on, unless they've turned that off. And then there's the reactions icons, and the reactions icons just gives you, and I'll show you what they look like. Oops, that's not the right one. Is these icons here, and you can use those usually when it's not in a shared screen is when it's kind of the best, because then everyone can kind of see them. And you have the yes, no option if maybe there was a question asked, and maybe you can say this, can you slow down because you're going too fast, or faster because you need to hurry up, you're running out of time. And you can raise your hand. So those are like reactions that you can use, or little icons you can use during a meeting. If you have any audio issues with your particular Zoom session, you want to go ahead and there is an option within the microphone area. And if you click on the microphone area, the little down arrow, it gives you this information here. And then this information gives you the option to test your speaker and microphone. You want to try that before you start your meetings. And I will also show you that there is a test area that you can go to oops, that's not modules. That you can go to to then be able to test your settings on Confer Zoom, or test your mic beforehand. And actually this information is already listed in our student resources, and I'm going to go there really quickly because oh, I didn't do that. So our student resources, and let me go back really quickly. Right now it's listed within the course SBBC student resources. If you click on that, it actually takes you to a page with links to other information, and Confer Zoom is one of the links that's there. If you click there, there is more information again about joining the sessions, about accessing Zoom links, and there is the join a test meeting option. If you click on that, it'll put you in a test meeting to be able to check your audio and your video and to be sure that it's good to go before you join a session. So there's further information here as well, if you're needing to make appointments, and all of that stuff is there as well. So honestly, everything that I've kind of gone over, all of that can be found here as well. Help desk information if you need to access or talk to anyone, or just want to create a help desk ticket, all that information is here. Numbers, as well as how to report a problem, all of that information is also here. So just kind of giving you, even though I've gone over it, might not have gone to hear everything, But if you do, there's more information here and that you can find the student information. I guess one other thing that I would like to at least show is the submitting to an assignment itself. So any assignment that you get in a course, if you click on that particular assignment, it will give you some information. First off, it'll tell you when it's due and unavailable attempts, and also there's an available until. So you want to kind of take note of that, because if it's sometimes, depending on the instructor, how they format it, this one is actually due on the 26th, but it's also available until the 26th. So it means it's due at the same time that it's available, which means you have to turn it in by Friday, February 26th, 2021 at 11:59. And when they say 11:59, they mean 11:59. So if you do 11:59 and 1 second, you're out of luck. You're already out of time. As soon as it's 11:59 and 1 second, this assignment will close and you will not be able to submit. So you'll notice below there'll be more information depending on that assignment and what that instructor puts or wants to add to it. That will be an option. Depending also, I may have mentioned the unlimited attempts. Now faculty can say you only have 1 attempt on this. So if it says unlimited attempts, it'll allow you to come back again and again to maybe submit something else. If it only says 1 or 2, that's all the attempts you get. So those are some of the items you want to look out for. So once you kind of read through all of the directions and you have something you want to submit, this one gives you 2 options depending on what, and again, that depends on what the faculty wants to set, text entry versus file. So text entry gives you that little box and it gives you an option to start text entry. If you get a text entry option, a lot of times we like to tell individuals you might want to go open up a Word document, type it all up, then do the copy and paste into the text box to make sure you don't lose any information. Because it does give you a save, but just as a way in which to not maybe accidentally lose something. You do have the file option, which is usually what is used sometimes depending on the assignment. Someone will say file permitted here. It says DOC, DOCX, and PDF. So those are the only options for this particular assignment. So it depends on your instructor. They might not have those specifications. So you can add any kind of document as long as it's something that's accepted by Canvas, which they accept pretty much most documents, just some things that probably no one's really using anyway. So all you'll have to do is click upload a file. You can click it. You can actually also do the drag and drop. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go and get my documents. And I'm going to have a PDF, so I'm going to put the PDF there. So it's attached. There we go. So it also gives you, so it's available, it's uploaded, but you'll notice, see, it shows it has not been submitted. So you still have to submit that. So it kind of gives you at least now that information as to whether or not it was submitted. You can add any comments if you want to that particular, if you wanted to add something to your teacher, you can add that information there. And once you're done, oops, go back to the attempt. I did my file, got that all done. You'll see at the very lower right-hand side, there's a submit button. Submit, and I got confetti. Yay! That means it's all done. So again, if you have the if there are dates associated with that particular assignment, you'll get that confetti that you just saw. If there are no dates associated with your assignment, you will not get the confetti. But it does not mean that you did not submit the assignment. It just means that there was no date, so it didn't give you that submit options. But you can see for that specific assignment, it's when you available, check, uploaded, check, submitted, check. Not graded yet, it'll show you that. And if at any time you need to resubmit, you can come and click on new attempt and resubmit because this is unlimited attempts. So that is for the assignment. All right. All right. Sorry, everyone. Just out of curiosity, I know we're way over time.
Oh yeah, I think we're I mean we're good. We're still recording. So did you have anything else you wanted to?
Just one other thing again would be, oops, that's not the right one. Would be just quizzes. And again, it's that same concept of quizzes with no time limits and quizzes with timed quizzes. Again, if you were to take a quiz, you'll notice all of the information is going to be here for that particular quiz, including the due date, when it's available, like how long it's available, how many points it's worth, how many questions, and then how many minutes that is if it's a timed quiz. So again, once you click take the quiz, that timer starts and you only have 60 minutes and you need to finish within that 60-minute time period. Versus if you have a quiz in which there might not be a time period, so there's no time limit, but it might still have a due date. You still need to, you can start that quiz. You can start that quiz at any time. You can actually go away from the quiz and come back later as long as you don't submit. So you'll notice again with any quiz, you click on it, click take the quiz. The timer for this one, because it's a time quiz, starts going. As you can actually go away from this quiz, but the timer is continuing. If you don't hit submit, it'll keep going. The only thing that's different between time quiz and the open quiz is like, again, you can go away from that quiz as well. At the end of the time period, if it has a due date, it will automatically submit. So again, it's also one of those things, if it's a 60-minute quiz and it's due at 11:59 and you started at 11:30, it will cut you off at 11:59. So if you need to have 60 minutes for that quiz, you need to make sure you start early to make sure you have the full time period, because it's not going to give you more time even though you have 60 minutes and you started it before the time period should have ended, depending on the settings. And each faculty will be different in terms of how they set up their quizzes, but you just want to make sure when you're looking at the quizzes, what is it asking and when is it telling you in terms of the directions, when is it due, if there's a time limit, when it's available until. So you just want to keep an eye out for those items. Other than that, did you want me to keep going? I could stop. Is there anything you want me to explain?
I'm sorry, Deja, you're on mute, so.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking to myself. Yeah, we'll probably stop the recording. I did have one question and then we
Sure.
can probably wrap it up after that. I know that for myself, the people that I'm in class with, the easiest way sometimes to reach out to them is through email. And
Sure.
I'm wondering on the contact portion of the little profile, how do we get our emails to show up so that way people can just go to our little icon and see our email?
Yeah, it won't show, like the email itself won't show up.
Okay.
You can again go through the inbox and look for them that way.
Okay.
Sometimes if you have people enabled, and not every course does, you can click on, another individual and maybe see information. Oh, that's me, so that's not going to work. So, where is it? Yeah, they don't have any information on here. So if they have that information, yeah, the inbox is going to be the only way that I can think of that you could do it.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering. I mean, it's not a huge thing, but just wondering. But yeah,
Anything, Tricia?
I think Sharisha hopped off.
Did she hop off? Oh, she didn't even tell me.
Yeah. But yeah,
That's me.
well, thank you guys so much. I mean, we really appreciate it. This was actually really helpful for me. I mean, I use Canvas all the time, but I didn't even know some of these features. So thank you so much, Rihanna, because I needed that. And then Davina, I really feel empowered with all the information that you shared. And I think it's really important that all students have access to that information. So thank you all so much for